They say the ones who work the hardest are often the easiest to overlook. That used to bother me, until I made peace with it. My name is Jasmine Cole, and for 5 years, I was the engine quietly running Bradfield Analytics. I didn't demand attention, didn't stir office drama, and certainly didn't wear power like perfume the way some of my colleagues did. I believed if I kept my head down, did the work, and stayed loyal, I'd eventually rise. Turns out I was wrong. That Monday morning felt like every other. I left my apartment before sunrise, coffee in hand, badge swinging at my hip. The city was still yawning, stretching beneath a pale blue dawn, and I loved that part, when it felt like the world belonged to the early risers. I arrived at the office building before anyone else, greeted the sleepy security guard downstairs, and stepped into the elevator with a smile. It was just past 6:45 a.m. when I unlocked the door to my floor. The silence was soothing. The office was a sea of dim computer screens, neat desks, and the faint smell of industrial carpet. I booted up my computer, clicked into my dashboard, and began combing through weekend data sinks. The numbers never lied. They were honest, clean, reliable, everything people weren't. By the time others trickled in, I was already deep into a quarterly report. Nathan Green arrived just after 8, flashing that too smooth smile of his. He always smelled like something expensive, cologne. Probably, though I could never name it. He strolled past my desk, gave me a two-finger salute, and said, "Morning, Jas. Burning daylight already." I gave a polite smile. You know me. Nathan had always been friendly, in that overly polished kind of way. The kind that makes you wonder what they're hiding behind their teeth. Still, I never took him for someone I should fear. If anything, I pitied him. He seemed to need approval like air. That morning, we had our usual team stand-up. Kara, our department head, looked pleased when she mentioned my name. Jasmine's efficiency has saved us nearly a week of projection time. If this keeps up, our Q3 audit will break records. Everyone clapped politely, except Nathan. He clapped with a slight delay, like someone watching a scene he didn't audition for. By 10:30, I was in the conference room with Kara, going over the numbers that, unknowingly, would soon become my downfall. I'd been working on a new projection model for a high-profile client. One mistake, and we'd lose them. But my model was solid. I'd triple-checked. "Great work, Jasmine," she said. "Send this to the execs by the end of day, and I'll push it forward." "On it," I replied. That night, I stayed late to polish the file. The office had mostly cleared out. Nathan passed by once, said goodnight, and disappeared. I wish I'd known that was the last normal day I'd have for a long time. The next morning, Kara's tone was cold. I'd barely sat down when she called me into her office. Her laptop screen was open, showing the file I'd submitted, the one I knew I'd finalized down to the decimal. "Jasmine," she said, pointing, "these numbers are off, drastically. The forecast is skewed. The client noticed before we did." I blinked. That can't be. I checked everything twice. She spun the screen to face me. There it was, broken logic formulas, miscalculated sums, and one glaring error that made our profits look inflated by nearly $2.7 million. My mouth went dry. "Kara, I swear I didn't submit this version." She didn't say anything, just looked at me with tired, disappointed eyes. Someone tampered with it." She sighed. "It says the edits were made under your login." I sat in silence, my mind spinning. No, this wasn't right. This wasn't fair. There had to be an explanation. "There will be a formal review," she said finally. "But until then, you're on suspension." Just like that, my world tilted. As I packed my things into a cardboard box, yes, like in the movies, I could feel eyes on me. Pitying, avoidant. Nathan's was the only gaze I couldn't meet. Because part of me already knew. I was being framed. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. Like the cables knew my shame and slowed just to stretch it. I clutched the box against my chest, trying to keep my trembling fingers from showing. Inside was everything that had once made up my world. My favorite pen. A framed photo of my mom and me. Sticky notes covered in equations. Nothing about it said guilty. Yet the way people had stared made me feel like I was walking in handcuffs. I didn't go straight home. I wandered the city for hours, weaving through people and traffic like a ghost. I couldn't call my mother, not yet. She believed I was unstoppable. How could I tell her her daughter might be a fraud? Eventually, I sat at a bench by the waterfront and pulled out my phone. I opened my emails. No apology from Kara. No shocked message from any coworkers. Just silence. And then, a notification. A new email. From Nathan. "Hey Jas. Rough day. I just wanted to say I hope you're okay. Let me know if you need anything. Nathan." I stared at it for a full minute. He knew, he had to know. I remembered him passing my desk that night. Had he stayed after I left? Had he touched my computer? A knot formed in my stomach. Doubt, suspicion, rage. But suspicion wasn't proof. And if I was going to clear my name, I'd need more than a hunch. I contacted Logan in IT. The login wasn't from your system. He whispered, your credentials. Yes, but it came from a terminal in marketing. Nathan's floor. I thanked him and hung up, adrenaline coursing through me. I thought back to who might have seen Nathan that night. Then I remembered Mia. Mia worked 2 cubicles down from him. Observant, sharp. I messaged her. Hey Mia, can we talk? It's important. She replied, sure, I've been meaning to reach out. I think I know what you're dealing with. And just like that, my doubt turned to determination. Mia met me at a quiet cafe near Midtown. She stirred her coffee anxiously and leaned in. I saw Nathan near the analytics wing that night, way after hours. I showed her the original file, time-stamped, and the tampered version. She examined both, her face turning grim. He's definitely trying to take you out. I knew he wasn't happy when Kara started leaning on you more. Over the next week, Mia logged his movements. I built a case file, copies of the edits, security logs, witness accounts. Then she texted me. He's accessing Kara's files. I called HR, scheduled a meeting, and walked in with a binder full of evidence. Dana listened. She didn't say much, just asked questions. She promised to investigate. That night, I didn't sleep, because I knew Nathan wouldn't go down without a fight. They summoned me back. Nathan was in the room, so was Kara and Dana. Jasmine's account was used, yes. Dana said, but the IP address traced back to your workstation, Nathan. He paled. Then Mia walked in. I saw him in the analytics wing, that night. Nathan's polished smile crumbled. He demanded a lawyer. HR suspended him on the spot. I didn't celebrate. There was too much mess left behind. But I walked out of that building knowing, for the first time in weeks, I had a voice again. The fallout was brutal. Nathan's name spread like wildfire through every Slack channel and lunch table. HR promised to clean it up. But damage like that doesn't just go away. The clients were notified. My name was cleared but not repaired. Mia and I stayed in touch. She was the only one who didn't treat me like a ghost returning from the dead. Kara offered me my job back, but I wasn't sure I wanted it anymore. They let me hang alone when it mattered. No one had fought for me but me. And now, I had a chance to rewrite the story on my terms. I didn't say yes right away. When Kara offered to reinstate me, I told her I needed time. The truth was, the idea of returning to that space, seeing the same desks, breathing the same stale air, it made my skin crawl. Not because I couldn't face them, but because I couldn't forget how quickly they'd let me fall. Instead, I started freelancing. Quiet gigs, contract data analysis, remote projects. The work was steady, the feedback immediate, and most of all, I felt free. Mia called every other day. She gave me updates from inside. Apparently, HR had widened the review. Nathan's behavior had spread beyond me. Misreported hours, credit theft, even attempts to manipulate hiring decisions. He was worse than we all thought. By the end of the month, he was officially terminated. His badge revoked, his name scrubbed. You're a legend around here now, Mia told me during one call. People say your case changed the way HR does internal audits. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Great, maybe I should print t-shirts. But part of me still wasn't whole. 2 months passed, I was back on my feet. Rebuilding, then late one night, I got a strange email from an anonymous account. You should look into who signed off on Nathan's access upgrades. It goes deeper. No greeting, no signature, just that. My stomach twisted. I thought the storm had passed. But apparently, there were still shadows beneath the surface. I reached out to Logan again. After some digging, he confirmed what I feared. Someone in upper management had manually overridden standard access protocols to give Nathan elevated rights. Specifically, access to edit financial reports. The override was approved by someone named Barrett. Barrett Moore, Senior VP of Operations. The man who had smiled at every staff party and spoken like a mentor. He had vouched for Nathan in meetings, praised his leadership. Suddenly, it made sense. Nathan hadn't acted alone, he was just the front. Barrett was the real architect. And I couldn't ignore it. The words sounded dramatic, but that's what I'd become. I sent everything, every log, every backup, the new evidence implicating Barrett, to an external legal team specializing in corporate fraud. Within days, I was interviewed. You realize, one of the lawyers said, if what you're alleging is true, this could lead to a criminal investigation. I nodded, good. The case unfolded fast. By the time internal auditors reopened the investigation, Barrett had already started covering his tracks, but not well enough. Within a month he resigned, quietly, with a statement about new ventures. But people knew, and I was the reason they did. 3 weeks after Barrett's exit, I got a call from the new interim CEO. Her name was Cynthia. She had a direct, no-nonsense tone. "We're restructuring," she said, "and we'd like you to come back. As Director of Internal Integrity, you'd lead compliance, fraud prevention, data review, all of it." I didn't know what to say. I sat on my tiny balcony, looking over the city lights. It was everything I'd worked for, just not how I'd imagined earning it. "I'll think about it," I finally said. "Take your time, you've earned it." I returned in January. New badge, new office, new title. People looked at me differently now. Not with suspicion, with respect. With curiosity, maybe even with fear. Nathan and Barrett were ghosts. Their names erased, their impact still echoing. But I was real, present, stronger. Mia became my right hand. Logan joined my team full-time. We built new systems, new checks. A culture where truth wasn't buried beneath ego. And me. I was no longer the silent one, the overlooked one. I was the storm they never saw coming. 6 months after I stepped back through the doors of Bradfield Analytics, everything had changed. Not just the office Daker, though that was different too. The mood had shifted. People no longer whispered in corners or avoided accountability. There were protocols now, systems, safeguards, not because they feared me, but because they respected what I represented. I wasn't just a name in an email chain anymore. I was a force. Mia was thriving in her new position as compliance coordinator. Logan had written 2 white papers on internal security based on our work, and the whispers that once haunted the halls had turned into applause. As for me, I finally breathed freely. The shadows Nathan and Barrett left behind were long, but they no longer scared me. I learned that betrayal doesn't destroy you unless you let it. That standing alone can sometimes be the only way to rise. And that sometimes, the person you need to believe in you the most is yourself. I stood by the same window I once cried in front of, watching the city pulse with light and ambition. Behind me, a new intern buzzed nervously outside my door, waiting for feedback. Funny how things turn. I turned to face her, smiled, and said, "Come in." Because this story may have started with sabotage, but it ended with legacy.